The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Hello, I'm Max Mashman, and these are your news headlines. Our first segment of the hour, our producer, Maddie Buckingham, is here to run us through some of the top stories of the day. Hello, Maddie. Maddie, I'm just going to stop you there. I cannot hear you. Are you still muted by any chance? All right, well, moving on. Our first story of the day, a cold snap is set to grip Metro Vancouver later today. Environment and Climate Change Canada is warning that brisk Arctic winds will feel like -20 and is cautioning Lower Mainland residents to be careful and wear layers to minimize the risk of frostbite and hypothermia. TransLink, the region's transportation agency, said in a public statement that they are prepared for the cold weather and the potential for snow. The city of Vancouver stated in a public bulletin that they are prepared to help Vancouver residents stay safe and that spaces are being prepared for unhoused and unsheltered people. Workspace BC is asking employers to assess risk regularly in an effort to avoid endangering workers. The strong winds is also expected to cause larger waves across Metro Vancouver shoreline, which may lead to flooding, according to Environment and Climate Change Canada. Given the cold weather, Metro Vancouver might have some concerns about transit. Reporter Nathan Maley has more.
In a press release Wednesday, TransLink outlined what they will be doing to prepare for the cold weather coming to the Lower Mainland. TransLink is preparing to coordinate with municipalities on snow clearing if priority routes are impacted, and salting and sanding bus loops and stations to help with their buses, among other things. They will use de-icer trains to keep the power rail free from ice buildup and running trains overnight to prevent any potential snow buildup in the guideway to help SkyTrain lines. TransLink is also urging people to build extra travel time, dress for the weather, and wear proper footwear to prevent potential falls. Environment Canada says that the wind chill could reach up to -20 degrees and a potential snowfall could come in the next couple of days. Nathan Maley, BCIT's The Crow.
And joining us to discuss this is Nathan Maley. Welcome, Nathan. What will be the bigger problems for TransLink, the ice or the potential snow?
They have more plans in place for the icy situations because there is no guarantee that we get a large dump of snow. So it seems like the icy roads and potential icy SkyTrain lines is their main focus.
All right. And are they doing anything to buses to help them prepare for the weather?
Yes, actually, Coast Mountain Bus Company is trialing new winter-rated tires on 1/3 of their fleet, and that's approximately 500 buses. These tires have the highest winter rating available for bus tires.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nathan. With the extreme weather coming to the Lower Mainland, our reporter Kevin Pontius asks what will happen to our society's most vulnerable.
Just 2 days after the Oppenheimer Park tent sweep from the Vancouver Police Department comes one of the worst cold snaps in years. Temperatures are expected to drop tonight to -9 degrees, all the way down to -13 throughout the weekend. The City of Vancouver released a statement stating, quote, "For those sheltering outside, the city and its partners have activated options for people to come indoors." An estimated 28 structures were removed from the park yesterday, and it still remains unclear with the timing of this sweep given the upcoming forecast. Vancouver bylaw states that it is legal to camp overnight, but all structures must come down by 7 a.m. Kevin Pontius, BCIT, The Crow.
And in more news relating to the freezing temperatures coming to Vancouver, reporter Riley Long has advice from BC Hydros on best practices and staying safe.
So far, BC and the Lower Mainland has experienced a warm winter, but that won't last for long. Freezing temperatures and a winter storm is set to hit Vancouver, and the city is preparing to face the storm. The only concern is how will residents handle the situation, and what happens when the power cuts out. I spoke to Kevin Aquino, a spokesperson from BC Hydro, on what people should be doing to prepare for the winter storm.
We always encourage customers to be prepared customers should always have an emergency kit on hand with supplies that last for at least 72 hours. And supplies can include a flashlight, batteries, first aid kit, water, and non-perishable foods. You should also know how to get a hold of us or find more information if the power does go out. And up-to-date outage information can be found on our website.
Kevin Aquino also stated that if you come across a down power line, active or not, stand 10 meters away from the site and call 911. Riley Leung, BCIT The Crow.
Provincial health officials are warning that influenza types A and RSV are both on the rise and that hospitals are treating a record number of patients. Health Minister Adrian Dix says that BC hospitals also do have the capacity to deal with the surge of patients if more people get sick during the coming weeks, but added that it was still a challenge. George Heyman, the province's acting Minister of Emergency Management, is meeting with the BC Search and Rescue Association to discuss allegations of bullying within his department. This after search and rescue team leaders wrote a letter expressing concern about the institutionalized bullying of volunteers. Heyman called the letter troubling and is aiming to reestablish trust between the ministry and the volunteers. The RCMP are investigating a threat against Wilson Mao, the Liberal MP representing Richmond Centre. The video, which contained the alleged threat, was posted on Facebook and appeared to show a man shooting a picture of Wilson before saying that the MP was going to get what was coming to him. Richmond RCMP executed a search warrant on the suspect and seized more than a dozen firearms. The investigation is still ongoing. A Saskatchewan judge is set to hear the legal challenge over a law that requires parental consent for children under the age of 16 to change their names or pronouns at school. John Kennedy of the Canadian Press has the story.
Lawyers for the LGBTQ organization You Are Pride in Regina have challenged the law and say it violates the rights of gender-diverse youth. The lawyers say those youth should be entitled to a free society and safe educational environment. The province's lawyers have asked the court to dismiss the case, arguing it is moot as the Saskatchewan government invoked the notwithstanding clause. Premier Scott Moe has said Saskatchewan implemented the law after hearing from parents who wanted it. John Kennedy, The Canadian Press.
Differing viewpoints between two allied states on Israel's action in Gaza. Tom Rivers from ABC News has the story.
As Israel committed genocide against the civilians of Gaza, Secretary of State Blinken on the submission before the International Court of Justice.
The charge of genocide is meritless.
But British counterpart David Cameron isn't so sure.
Am I worried that Israel has taken action that might be in breach of international law because this particular premises has been bombed or whatever? Yes, of course I'm worried about that.
Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is sports on 1680 The Crow.
Welcome back. I'm Max Mashman, and these are your sports headlines. Our top sports story: several ex-Penguins players and staff are returning to Pittsburgh tonight, but this time they'll be playing against their former team and for the Vancouver Canucks. A list of names includes Jim Rutherford, who left his president of hockey operations post in Pittsburgh to do the same job for the Canucks. Amongst the players are Sergei Gonchar, Teddy Bluger, Sam Lafferty, Ian Cole, and Casey DeSmith. The head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Darko Rakovic, is facing a $25,000 fine after publicly criticizing NBA officials. The public criticism came in the form of a lengthy rant following a 131-132 loss against Los Angeles. The coach was upset about the numbers of free throws granted to the opposing team and called the actions of the referees disgraceful. Bill Belichick is officially out of a coaching job with the New England Patriots. The legendary New England coach led the Patriots to 6 Super Bowl victories, and all communication points to the split being mutual. Belichick says in his heart he will always be a Patriot. Belichick holds the coaching record for the most Super Bowl wins in NFL history. Patriot owner Robert Kraft said that Belichick's departure was a very emotional day for him. And now for the weather. It is currently 4 degrees and sunny in Vancouver. Flurries are expected to pick up throughout the day, with temperature reaching into the negatives for the evening. A weather advisory is in effect, and Arctic wind conditions will make the weather feel like it's -10 in the evening and -20 throughout the night. So pack a coat and stay safe. For BCIT The Crow, this is Max Mashman, and these have been your news headlines.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the lower mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine. BCIT campus, where the gardening club just planted these trees. So in the BCIT Journalism program, I learned how to use the professional cameras to film our own news stories, and also the soundboards and mics in the radio booth to host shows for our radio station. I'm Kate Leno in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
About this program is the hands-on experience. Every day I'm honing the skills that I'll use in my future career.
That we're in a smaller group environment compared to other schools, I find that the camaraderie between like your colleagues or classmates is really good.
reason why I chose this program here at BCIT is because of the hands-on experience. We're always doing assignments that follow the industry standards. So once I graduate and I find my first job, I feel pretty confident that I'll have the skills that I need.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Sushi is one of the most popular dishes in the world, but is sushi as we know it in Canada the same as it is in Japan? What do masters of the craft think about sushi here?
We have to do something new too. That one is not the deep fried sushi.
Not that.
No, not that way.
There's no doubt that Canadian food culture is heavily influenced by immigration. Vancouver's food scene is known for being incredibly rich in diversity, including some of the best Chinese food that can be found outside China. As a coastal city, we also have an abundance of seafood, which means dishes like sushi that utilize a lot of seafood are found everywhere. With all the different ethnic communities that call BC home, there is no shortage of cuisines to try. The variety of cuisine that lines our streets is a testament that immigrants continue to change local food culture. But is the reverse the same? Are our food preferences also changing traditional cuisine? The answer to this question is a little less obvious. For example, fortune cookies are ubiquitous in Chinese restaurants across North America. In the Western world, they are a symbol of Chinese cuisine and even culture. But did you know that fortune cookies are not found in China? The fortune cookie is actually a Japanese invention that was brought to America. My name is Tammy Mack. Welcome to Let Them Cook, a series where we explore how foreign food culture shifts and evolves when it travels the globe and becomes acquainted with new audience. This is episode 1, Mr. Yoshida. The California roll that is a staple in every sushi restaurant here was invented in Vancouver by chef Hidekazu Tojo, a Japanese Canadian and the namesake of Tojo's on Broadway, although there has been some debate about how accurate this is. Chef Tojo also claims to have been the pioneer of the inside-out style of sushi. Traditionally, sushi ingredients are wrapped in a seaweed wrapper facing the outside. However, Chef Tojo, sensing a local distaste for seaweed, instead wrapped his rolls in reverse order, with the rice on the outside and the seaweed hidden inside. Chef Tojo is also credited with other iconic rolls like the BC roll, rainbow roll, golden roll, and my personal favorite, the spider roll. He's also known as the first sushi chef to incorporate smoked salmon into sushi. Chef Tojo has become an ambassador of a sort for this new Canadian style of sushi. His innovations have proved more than a little successful, expanding to as far as Europe. Other sushi chefs have followed suit, including California rolls and the like in their menu. But what's it like as an authentic sushi chef navigating a market that already knows what it likes?
Deep fried rolls, put on the sauce on top.
Deep fried
yeah. And the dragon rolls. Yeah. That's how they like it. Yeah, but it's a business, right? If they like it, I gotta do it. Yeah, if they don't like it, I don't do it.
That was Chef Yoshida, a sushi chef walking the line between following local trends and adhering to his traditional cooking style. We'll meet him after the break.
This episode is sponsored by Marks. Visit your local Marks today for a wide variety of high-quality brands, ranging from Helly Hansen and Columbia to Carhartt and Levi's. Marks, all things simple.
Let's start by transporting to Yoshida's Sushi, a modest, homey restaurant located near the intersection between Victoria Drive and 41st Avenue in Vancouver. The decor is simple, with wooden accents reminiscent of old restaurants in Tokyo. owner and chef Ko Yoshida tells us they're still in their first year of business. Despite that, they've garnered a 4.8-star rating on Google. Out of 102 Google reviews, the majority of them are rave reviews, with the words delicious, fresh, and best repeated over and over again. Many praise their omakase set for its value and quality. Ko was born and raised in Japan, where he worked part-time for a few years before moving here as a 22-year-old. Most of his cooking experience comes from working in various sushi restaurants in Vancouver, so many he can't keep count. When asked about his experience transitioning from cooking in Japan to cooking in Canada, he only had two things to say.
When I have a North American food first time, so much mayonnaise, right? Deep fried mayonnaise, but Japanese doesn't have much that one. So very hard to, adjust to the North American style. Because in Japan it has not much rolls. Just a nigiri and sashimi. Nigiri size is much smaller than here. They have a 1 bite size, but in here almost a 2 bite size. That's very hard to adjust it.
He mentions that over his career, he's noticed that people are looking for something different, speaking to the global trend towards eating healthier.
But now I think I don't need to do too much because customer want to eat more original Japanese food. But I just a little bit sweeter than Japanese food. That's a more good for everybody. Used to be 20, 30 years ago. We have to put more mayonnaise and deep fry, but now more healthier, right?
Ko also tells us that what his clientele wants changes depending on which neighborhood he's in. He says this location on Victoria Drive attracts a predominantly Asian demographic that doesn't care too much for rolls, but likes a lot of fresh fish, especially scallop and eel. On the other hand, to serve a predominantly white demographic, he would have to include the likes of deep-fried rolls to stay afloat. Now, deep-fried California rolls aren't found in traditional Japanese food, of course, and Ko was quite candid about how he feels about them.
My opinion, there's no meaning to deep fry the rolls because the rice is already cooked. Then deep fry again is not make sense. So before cooked, then deep fry, and I understand. But after make a steam rice, then deep fry again, no make sense.
I wondered how he balanced adjusting to what his customers want versus how he feels sushi should be. He says that he remains committed to Japanese cooking styles, but part of the philosophy of Japanese cooking is to use fresh, quality ingredients, which is why he utilizes fresh, local fish, but he's also open to innovating with new ingredients.
But I wanna do more Japanese food. Not North American food. That's my policy. Japanese food has a pretty much long history, right? Then many people try and error, try to find the best way for Japanese food. So, but we have to do something new too. That one is not deep fried sushi.
Not that.
No, not that way. But use a local new fish, create, that's more Japanese style. So I have to find out new product, new vegetables. I'm using a local Dungeness crab, the BC spot prawns, sockeye salmon, and albacore tunas, and sea urchin too. And ikura, that's all local.
Cooking philosophy differs from chef to chef. You could ask the same question 1,000 times and still get a different answer each time, as long as you're asking different chefs. This is why there can be several renditions of something as simple as a California roll. Every time a chef reinterprets and puts their spin on it, the California roll is reinvented, becoming something that's in a constant state of being changed and reworked. It's this process that gives way to renditions like the controversial deep-fried California roll. Wow, did you think you would be hearing about drama in the sushi world today? From hearing about Ko's early observations on North American food culture, we can already predict what the inspirations for the deep-fried California roll were, which ironically involves both deep frying and mayonnaise. Oyama Sushi, located on Kingsway and Royal Oak in Burnaby, is a Korean-owned Japanese restaurant that serves deep-fried rolls and other fusion rolls, like one called the hash brown roll. Mohammed Imran Udin, who has been working at Oyama as a sushi chef for 2 years, says their menu was developed based on the clientele's tastes.
So I found that like in Japanese style is a little bit different rather than in Western, like let's say Canada, America, US, like the sushi is a little bit different. So like I think based on the customer demand, they develop the menus.
Mohammed employs a whatever makes them happy philosophy when it comes to cooking. Rather than adhering to a grander cooking style, Mohammed is just happy to see his customers enjoy his food with a smile on their face.
I love to see customers smile face. That make me really happy. So just make the customer and make the people happy is my philosophy.
Between someone like Mr. Yoshida, who has a more of a traditional, principled take on sushi, and someone like Mohammed, whose primary goal is to make his customers happy, we get a sense of the sort of struggles going through the mind of someone bringing their traditional cooking to a new country. While cooking philosophy surely plays a role, we can't forget that things like remaining profitable and being able to sustain themselves are probably huge factors as well. How each chef juggles the balance between these factors is what makes the conversation about evolving food cultures and the work of immigrants a never-ending story. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. I'd like to give a special thank you to Mr. Ko Yoshida and Mr. Mohammed Imran Udin for taking time out of their busy days to chat with us. Be sure to follow us on your preferred social platforms to be notified of new episodes. Next time, we'll be talking about the rise of Mexican food in Canada.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikikane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikikane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.